The May 2020 Brookhaven Council Workshop will now come to order. Please rise for the pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a quick reminder that audio and video recording of this meeting may be uploaded to YouTube. Let's go right into public discussion. Is there anyone from public discussion? Keep in mind you have to unmute yourself if you're raising your hand for public discussion. Hold on, I'm going to unmute everyone. So I'm pretty sure we have someone, at least one from public discussion. Is there anyone from public discussion?
Hey, Terry, it's Mimi.
Go ahead, Mimi. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good.
The only thing I have,
You have to state your name and address, Mimi.
Okay, this is Mimi McGovern, 3774 Susan Lane.
Thank you.
And this is just a logistic question.
Okay.
The meeting is Zoom, was on Facebook.
Yep.
The very first time I came into this meeting, the first Zoom that you did, and I want to preface this is not easy for you guys to turn around and start doing this through Zoom, so I understand that.
It sure isn't, but go ahead.
It was on the Borough site, so I was able to get it there. Then the next meeting, it was not on the Borough site, it was on Facebook. So I didn't go to that meeting because it took me a long time to realize, oh, I should go to Facebook. So my question is, can it be, or is it just logistically not feasible to update or put the Zoom information on the Brookhaven Borough site where all the minutes are and where the invitation or the agenda or the calendar event is?
I post every meeting to the official Borough Facebook page. Mrs. Fuchs can probably answer for the website. I believe
I can post it on the landing page, Mimi, on the website.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking beforehand, or my other possibility, and I don't know how easy this is. Like, I don't know if you can do it on the fly or you have to give it to someone to do it, so it could take a while to get updated. But I'm just wondering, in the calendar event in there, could you put the Zoom information in there? And so anyone who comes in would know that that's where to go. They don't have to go.
I don't know if that would work. I could put a calendar event in about the meeting, but I don't know if I can link in the Zoom information in the calendar.
Okay, yeah. If you
try it and see.
Yeah, yeah.
Mimi, if you shoot me an email reminder, I can email you the invite. Would that help? But
no. See, I'm just thinking of others too. You know, like
you get it on the website.
You know, if anyone else wants to come in last minute, you know, that they would just be able to go in there. And the other thing is, what's out on the website right now still says May 25th, so it doesn't have the updated one. And I only knew because I listened to the last meeting. So I'm just thinking of others too, that if we just always put it, if it's possible, in the calendar event, that would really be a nice thing to do.
When you say May 25th, you mean in the calendar?
Yeah, if you go on like the left column where it has the calendar or upcoming events in there, it still says this meeting is May 25th.
Okay.
So that wasn't updated, which, you know, I get it. You know, things are not easy right now, but I'm just wondering, you know, if someone did not listen to the last meeting and it's on their calendar, not realizing that's Memorial Day.
Yeah, they might jump ahead to the holiday. And that happens quite often. It's happened for years. I don't know why that is, but we'll get up there.
Yeah, and it could be just a logistic hard thing, and now's a bad time, and you just don't have the resources to do it. And
well, no, the reason why it's like that is because when you put something on the calendar, I can do it one time for 12 months. So because this is not our normal meeting night, that's why. And I didn't remember to go back and add another night for tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
It should have been. I mean, normally, if next Monday wasn't a holiday, that's when we would have met. So that's what the calendar thinks.
Right, and I'm sure this happens for other meetings too. I'm just thinking it's easier to do it. And the other thing that Don and I had talked about at one point was, I was thinking some meetings that are on the calendar are open to the public and some may not be. So I was wondering if in that event as well, that you could say open to the public or not open to the public.
I do know I need to do that. I just haven't had time yet to go out to every meeting and update it, but I will. It is on my list of things to do.
Well,
That's fine.
every committee meeting is open to the public, every single one. We've only had, I believe, one committee meeting since the pandemic started. We just now started adding committee meetings to our
Yeah,
schedule.
no, and yeah, I'm just saying
So I
for,
posted the Hometown Hero Banner committee meeting the other night. I believe we met Wednesday, and I did post that. So
yeah, I think it would just be a nice thing because a lot of people don't really realize they're open. And I'm sure, I would think there's some out there that are not open to
yeah,
everybody.
if you're spending money, they're open. Personnel are not open. Jay
Yeah.
can probably help me out with any additional issues, but I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So,
Okay. All right. Well,
but
thanks.
committee meetings are open to the public. I believe, Jay, they should be posted to Facebook, correct?
Yes.
And that's a reminder to the rest of council. If you do hold your committee meetings via Zoom, please get in touch with me or post them yourself on Facebook.
Yeah, and if meetings get canceled last minute, that's the kind of thing would be nice if it's possible to get it out there immediately so that people would know not to go to the meeting, you know?
Sure. Mhm.
So that means my ordinance committee meeting this Thursday, I got to get it out on Facebook, the Zoom link.
You do indeed. Yep.
Okay.
Unless, Donna, you can, I'm just saying, unless you can get it in the invitation,
That's like in,
in the counter event, unless it works, you know?
yeah.
Well, there's a lot
All
in,
right.
in the invitation link, so I don't. That's up to Mrs. Fuchs to see what she can do. But
Yeah, only a
good
suggestion.
good points, though, Mima.
All right, well,
I'll
thanks.
look at it.
All right.
Thank you. Anything else?
Not right now.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for public discussion? Tom, I know you got an itchy finger there. Are you good? I can't hear you, Tom. You're muted, so I guess that's a no.
That's a no for me.
I thought you were talking to us. All right. All right, folks, I've got a few items. I'm going to start. I didn't feel like waiting to the end, get my points out of the way. We do have 4 executive sessions to announce. Council met in executive session on Tuesday, May 5th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Purpose was review of Roseanne McGrath's assessment, office assessment. Council also met in executive session on Wednesday, May 6th, 7 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. Purpose was budget committee meeting. Council also met in executive session on Saturday, May 9th, 5 o'clock to 6:15 p.m. Purpose was to discuss the Shepherd Street project with engineer Charles Catania. And council will meet tonight after the workshop to discuss a matter of litigation. There was also a Hometown Hero Banner Committee meeting this past Wednesday. I believe that was the 13th. And that was, I want to say 6:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. That was posted publicly. I have a quick Hometown Hero banner update. Round 3's install began last week with 77 more banners slated to go up. The installers should complete this round later in the week. And we also have 30 down banners, which will be started late this week and hopefully finished next week. I want to thank the applicants for their patience with the delays, which were mostly COVID related. With that, I have a brief COVID update. We're still monitoring the daily numbers, which were dropping until testing increased recently in Delaware County. And a reminder that the governor wants 17 new COVID cases per day to move Delco to the yellow phase. And with the last 5-day average of 106 per day, and our worst 5-day average since the pandemic started was 147 per day, that peaked back in early April. I don't see us achieving that number anytime soon, especially with the increases in testing. It looks like testing has doubled and on some days tripled in Delaware County, which is good for us. Good to see who has it, but it's bad for that incredibly low number, incredibly low bar that Governor Wolf has set to move us back to the yellow phase, or move us to the yellow phase from the red phase. Give me 1 minute, I lost my place. As far as the effect of the lockdown on Brookhaven, our parks are still closed. Our youth spring sports are delayed and most likely canceled. And we have 47 businesses that are limited or closed due to the governor's lockdown. Once again, council's countermeasures started with closing Borough Hall to the public, furloughing certain employees, closing our parks, and enacting budget cuts and delays for the year 2020. To date, 2 budget committee meetings have been held, with a third to be held next week. We will cut as much as we can to avoid pushing the burden of any revenue shortfalls onto our residents. As for that office staff that was furloughed, we are planning on recalling certain office staff, assuming the COVID numbers remain stable with the return to work date of Wednesday, June the 3rd. Opening of the Municipal Center for Public Services is still some time away. And again, I repeat, rentals are likely done for all of 2020, barring an effective widespread treatment or a COVID vaccine. So that's all I have. Oh, I have to entertain a motion. I'd like to entertain a motion for the advertisement for the position of office manager with the ad to be run in the Delaware County Daily Times.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. That is all I have for now. And let's go into the police chief's report. Chief Curtin?
Yeah, Mr. President, good evening, and good evening to everybody. Nothing necessarily new to report tonight. Continue to get my officers out and about, be seen, and with community events, birthdays, graduations, etc., the best we can when calls for service permit. Remind everybody, please lock your cars up at night. Don't take anything for granted. Help prevent some of the thefts that are occurring. We're not seeing a lot of them, but if we can prevent one, that's enough. That's good for me. So everyone, please do your part, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief Montella?
Thank you, Mr. President. The fire company, as far as the last 2 weeks, our COVID-19 transports have been well down. I think we ended up with this weekend. We did sneak another one in this weekend from one of the facility houses in the borough that actually has residents there. We did transport somebody that was positive out of there, but the last 2 weeks have settled down greatly for us as far as transports. And we also have not been running as much to neighboring towns for the long-term facilities as well for transports either. So it's kind of a good sign for us. We appreciate you guys picking up them extra N95 masks that the borough was able to secure. I mean, that'll benefit all of us, council, the fire company, the police. That's a huge asset for us. Little security down the road as we go. We've been out in the community with the birthday party, graduations, and you know, the residents are enjoying this because they're going through some hard times, and we're trying to accommodate everybody just based on answering their wishes in between calls and everything else. But everything's been pretty good on our end, decon and keeping people safe. Everybody's healthy, and we're looking a lot better than we were about 2 weeks ago. So hopefully it stays going that direction. And besides that, everything's pretty good on our end.
How many COVID calls did we have again last week? 1 or 2? COVID positives?
We had, as of last week, when I gave them my report last week, it was 1, but we did pick up 1 over the weekend at one of them facilities in Brookhaven that houses challenged people. So we
Okay,
ended
I forgot to update the Brookhaven's COVID totals 43. It didn't update today for some reason. It's been updating 1 or 2 in the afternoon, but they didn't update it. But we have 43 in the borough, 3 deaths, and I believe 6 to 8 are all at one facility. And you would have to think at this point the majority are recovered if you assume that COVID lasts 2 to 3 weeks. We're in the single digits, I think, right now. But for whatever reason, some counties just don't want to give you that recovered number. It's not either it's not available or they don't want to share it.
And you did get our report on that fire that we responded to out of town at the crematory in Chester Township, and you know that they had COVID patients in there that were being cremated, but
From New York, right? They were
from New York.
Yeah, New York ran out of capacity at their
Brought them in on a reefer trail.
crematoriums and had to bring them down to Chester Township.
All our personnel was in all their proper PPE, and we have it documented that we made a response there and who was in the building. But as of now, everything looks good. Our people are all healthy.
All right, thanks, Chief. Mr. Wills.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, everyone. Couple items on my agenda this evening. concern 3607 Victor Avenue. Again, this was a property that I had filed an equity and a petition for preliminary injunction against the property owner for multiple violations of the property maintenance code. As a result of the courts being closed for the last 2 months, this case has been continued on multiple occasions, but we now do have a firm hearing date of June the 18th, and I expect to be in court on this particular property with zoning officer Hampton at that time. So hopefully we will get resolution to this property shortly. Second item concerned the small housing development at 315 West Brookhaven Road by Pandu Properties is the developer. My office recently received, as well as Mr. Catania's, a request for partial release of escrow. The developer has now specified the amount as he is now requesting, which is approximately $100,000 for public improvement work he has completed or may not have totally completed and been inspected. I'm going to leave that to Mr. Catania as to recommendation as to the precise amount he is recommending the Borough Council as far as the escrow be released for public improvements for that particular development. Other development I want to speak about is the Brookhaven Glen development. Of course, this is the 84-unit multifamily residential age-restricted community off of Edgemont Avenue. The final plans have been submitted by the developer. I know they've been signed by President Heller. I believe they've been signed by Assistant Borough Secretary Matt Koppel. I don't know if the plans yet have been signed by the chairperson of the Brookhaven Planning Commission.
They have not, as
Okay.
yet. I sent him an email reminder today.
All right, so hopefully the chairman will get in later this week and get those plans signed. Then we'll contact the developer. He can pick up those plans, and then he's going to have to get those plans recorded up at the Delaware County Courthouse. Unfortunately, the courthouse is closed at least until June 1st to the public. So when he picks up the plans this week, he's still going to have to wait. In the meantime, I've begun drafting a developer's agreement, an improvement security agreement, as well as an agreement for the payment of professional fees that the borough will incur from both my office and Engineer Catania's office. Another development is Brookhaven Storage. Again, this was development off Brookhaven Road. We had an issue where the developer came in and filed an application, but never paid his application fee. I was finally able to track down the developer, and lo and behold, he has paid the $2,500 subdivision land development application to the borough. So we are in the process of reviewing that application. I know Engineer Catania has had a number of review comments, and they've been kicked back to the developer. So we're waiting for the developer's engineer to respond to those particular comments. Another issue concerned, I had spoken last week with zoning officer Hampton, who advised me that the borough presently has no subdivision and land development application. There is a county application, but when a homeowner or a property owner comes in for a subdivision land development request, there is no formal application on file with the borough, nor is there any submission guidelines for site plan reviews that the borough has. I would strongly recommend that my office draft a borough application form as well as submission procedures for subdivision and land development applications going forward. I think maybe this has been a problem perhaps in the past where things have unfortunately maybe got lost in the shuffle. So I think if the applicant and the borough administration office has clear guidelines. I think that'll be very, very helpful in the future so that things run a bit more smoother with regard to the subdivision and land development applications that are going to be filed moving forward.
Sure, we're working on that.
All right. Finally, I had Carmen's. Again, this is a commercial property on Edgemont Avenue that has been an eyesore for many years. The borough has been in litigation with this property owner, which actually predates my appointment as solicitor. I am pleased to report that earlier this month, precisely May the 8th of 2020, Judge Kelly Eckel did in fact sign an order granting the conservator's motion to order the sale of the property. So I would expect sometime in the month of June, we're going to see for sale signs on that property, whereby we can convey the property to a third-party owner who will hopefully there be able to maintain the property and make it code compliant. Unfortunately, the current property owner simply does not have the wherewithal, it appears, to be able to maintain that property and keep it compliant with the local laws and ordinances that we have. Other issue I'll just briefly mention, again, we know there's an election day, June the 2nd. Again, I received some correspondence from the governor's office and the Pennsylvania Department of State indicating they are highly recommending, if at all possible, that people vote by mail for this particular election, as opposed to physically going to the polls, where obviously that'll result in some public health and some public safety concerns. So if at all possible, again, get yourself an absentee ballot. Under the new law, everybody can now vote by mail. Before, of course, the old law was that you had to be outside the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth to be able to vote by absentee ballot. That is no longer the case. We can all now vote by mail, and particularly this year, I suspect that's certainly the safe course of action. And finally, Mr. President, I do have one litigation matter, again, that I would ask that that be discussed in executive session pursuant to one of the enumerated exceptions to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Other than that, Mr. President, I can report general progress, and that is my report, sir.
So let me, a follow-up question on Carmen's. What's the likely outcome? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think the likely outcome is here?
Yeah, that will be sold, right? There will be for sale signs going on that property next month.
Correct, but that could linger forever. I mean, it's not exactly desirable as far as the size of the property, is it?
Yeah, but the good thing, Mr. President, there is not an existing mortgage on the property, meaning that is zone free and clear. So there are parameters that the court has agreed for that property to be sold on the open market. And what happens is after 30 or 60 days, if it doesn't go for that selling price, it can automatically continue to be reduced. So that property will eventually sell. And again, I've just seen it from the outside. I haven't seen the internal workings of the property, but it certainly has potential for a lot of commercial uses on the Edgemont Avenue business corridor. It's got exceptional square footage to it. So it can be retrofitted for a lot of different areas that would certainly be in compliance with our zoning ordinance for the commercial district along Edgemont Avenue. So I think it's going to sell. That's my, profession.
Who sets the initial price?
It was set, well, it was recommended, obviously, by the conservator and also by the borough, which we agreed that we thought that was a fair price.
And what is that price?
I think it was maybe $240,000, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I thought it was around 300 tops. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So I think it's certainly in the range that this is not a pie in the sky type of price. Certainly, we know the housing conditions have changed a little. Obviously, the market conditions have changed within the last 60 days. That goes without saying. But, you know, like I said, I think it's a viable commercial building. It has been cleaned out. There has been some work that has been done by the conservator to make it sellable. And I think it is now in a condition. The roof has also been repaired, as you may know. So there has been some remedial repairs to make this certainly, marketable and I think an attractive commercial piece of property for the right buyer.
All right, thank you. And just to piggyback off of your notes on the election, the mayor and/or Mrs. Fuchs will have an update on that. We all met with the local party heads last week regarding that, and so they'll have an update for that. On that, I should say. Thank you, Jay. All set?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. Hold on. I muted Mr. Mayor.
Is that better now?
I liked you better silence, but you're unmuted. Yes. Go ahead.
I'm probably not the only one you mute all the time. But anyway, I just
There's another one.
with Mr. Will said, and you just mentioned also, a couple of us are going to be meeting tomorrow evening at Coburn School just to go over the landscape and some of the logistics, how we're going to do things. But I just want to mention that, as Jay said, we encourage everybody to vote by mail if they can. And if they want to vote in person, I'm sure there's many people who want to do that. But we're going to have the election this year, at least in the primary, at Coburn Elementary School, and that's going to be for all 6 precincts. So that means that those who have voted at Our Lady of Charity, which I believe was the 2nd precinct, and the Real Church or Full Gospel Assembly, which
Real Church, correct, on Edwards, yep.
They're at all 6 precincts will be voting from Coburn Elementary School. So that's the June 2nd primary. So we'll get that out again. I'm not sure if we can get this out again. Well, we can get it out either by social media or however we want to get it out. But
Sure,
I think
we'll definitely spread the word.
we're all broadcasting to spread the word. But so anyway, so Donna, I forgot. Were you meeting at 6:30 tomorrow evening?
6 p.m. tomorrow night.
6 p.m. So we'll go walk over the turf over there tomorrow, figure out the landscape and the logistics, how we can go in, how we can get people out safely, and all that kind of good stuff. But again, everybody, the primary election this year is not going to be at the Municipal Center or Our Lady of Charity or at the Real Church or Full Gospel Assembly. It's all 6 precincts at Coburn Elementary. So other than that, that's all I have at this particular moment itself. But again, I go through the borough almost on a daily basis and see in certain locations, and, you know, the Wawas, the Reader's Water Ice, a lot of locations. People, please stay your 6-foot distances and wear a mask. We're not going to get through this without your help. And that's all I have for right now.
Mayor, just to piggyback what you said about the election, I just wanted to caution everyone regarding the mail ballots, not to wait till the last minute. I put in for mine just about 2 weeks ago and I haven't gotten it yet. So do not wait till the last minute if you want to do a mail-in ballot. Do it now.
Donna, you're absolutely right. I sent in for mine about probably 12, 13, maybe 14 days ago and just got it just the other day. And I just mailed it today. So I would strongly suggest, even though they say May 26th is the deadline, I would get it in today.
Absolutely.
That's all.
We should also consider, I don't know who you would get to do this, but either put signs up or station a volunteer at the typical polling stations. So there's always going to be.
Yeah, we will have some. Matter of fact, I have the 2nd and 3rd precinct signs ready to go. I'll take them to the printer tomorrow, and we'll have signs all over Coburn School.
Okay. Going to the council reports, Ms. Sawicki. Hold on.
Take her off on mute. Take her off on mute.
I can't see. Oh, there she is. Sorry, Janice, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't have the bill list tonight, but you will get it probably between now and the end of the month when Delilah has time to do it. I do want to make that motion for the Public Fire Protection Service for Mr. Leslie. He put in the application for the Chester Water Authority to put 2 new hydrants into that area in the new section where there's development. And I'm going to make that motion just so council can have it in the minutes that we are approving the 2 new hydrants for that new development on Arlington.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion's carried.
Now, the other thing I do have is regarding the sewer machine that we were talking about. I said in the sewer fund system budget, there was $80,000 in there, which I put in last summer because Gary Thompson and Vaughn Donnelly had asked for it. And we do have money. We have a capital reserve, which we use if we're a little bit, we need to take something out of it. And I talked to Delilah today, and it's about 13,000 more or less that we need additional. So we do have money in the capital reserve for that fund. And I'm going to make a motion tonight that we do authorize it to be paid for. And we don't need to take out a loan. We never take out loans. Even when we buy cars, we pay cash. We never.
Well, let's let Mr. Vasquez chime in, and we will
Sure.
we'll have a good, honest debate over this right now. Let's just not
Sure.
kill it.
So,
Hector, go ahead.
earlier
Real quick.
this week, if everybody wasn't aware, earlier this week, the Public Works sewer machine went down. The pump is supposed to be putting out 2,000 PSI. It's putting out about 150. So it's a glorified backyard pressure washer on a trailer now. So I talked with Dave. I talked with Sean. We looked at all our options. We were trying to get prices on rebuild kits, something to get us back up and running. And really haven't had much luck at all. We haven't had any good leads on if we can even get parts for the machine anymore, just due to its age. I believe it's a early 90s. I can't remember the exact date.
Sure, and due to COVID, we thought about punting it down the road, and then it turned. We absolutely can't. Correct.
Yeah. So we basically, I can't remember the exact number that it would cost to have somebody come out every time. I think it's roughly $800. I'm not. Don't quote me on that number, but so that's the cost to possibly have somebody come out and do what we've been doing ourselves with this machine. So I reached out to the company just to get some solid pricings. Basically, like, as Janice said, that we budgeted $80,000 with the options that the Public Works Department were looking at using, which included some extra heads, a root cutter. The total price was around $93,366.
That's what I have.
So that is the exact amount on the quote. Now,
And they are co-stars, they're co-stars, that company?
yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Now, as I was talking with the salesman, they are really just starting to ramp up, or not ramp up, they're just starting to come back to work. So the availability to get one of these is literally possibly within a month.
That's fine.
If we were to go forward with it. So after speaking with the sales rep, I spoke with the financial rep that's associated with them as well. Now, he gave us some options if we want to entertain them and not have to spend that amount up front. So basically, we have an offer from him. Let me pull up the exact wording on what he said. Bear with me 1 second. So basically, he gave us the option to finance the machine. Through them, they have 2 options, either a 3 or 5 year loan. Now, there's no penalty to pay in advance.
Charlie, that was my question. So
that is a full option if we have the money allotted to this year with everything going on, which I know we have the 80,000, but there are other issues that might pop up. Now,
Let me explain, Hector. Sewer fund is paid from real estate taxes exclusively. So we do have all our money in. So whatever's in the budget, we can handle. So that's why I'm saying we normally do pay, and we don't deal with loans. We try never to do that because unless we're buying a building with a fire truck, we try not to. Even police cars, we pay cash.
So his option, as I was saying, we could take out the loan and we won't have to pay anything until the next year. So we got 12 months free. And then you figure if we have that money and everything.
Is that without interest accruing?
No, the interest would be accruing.
Okay,
That's
so it would be accruing.
4.25%.
Okay. What was that rate again? Sorry?
4.25.
Okay.
That's the lowest that they offer. Doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 5 year. You figure, and there's a bank fee of $500 as well.
Okay.
That's due at the signing of the paperwork. But that will give us the option to get the machine right now, immediately, get the ball rolling, and we wouldn't have to pay anything until next year. Now, if we do have that money, we could just pay it off.
We can pay it now. I have the money in the bank. We're okay. Our problem is general fund. That's where we have to really be careful. We've already got all our money for sewer and all our money for trash, so we're okay.
We understand that, but
you're not saving anything. You're spending extra money, which is coming from taxes. So I really don't see where you're saving me anything.
And I don't see why you're so passionate.
Because we never do that. We always pay when we have.
We've also never had a pandemic like this. We've never had 20% unemployment. We've never had 47 businesses limited or closed.
Now, what else?
That's my concern. What if we have some other? Hold on a minute. What if we have some other sewer disaster? I mean, I don't see how it really hurts us that much.
We
figure out most.
One at a time, or I'm muting you both. Go ahead, Janice.
Never look at the budget. We have a lot of money in sewer because we have money because we're responsible for the 44 miles of sewer lines. And people that go to the plant, like you and I, we have to pay to maintain that for our customers. That's why we always have extra money in sewer, because we have to, because we're running a business for that. So honestly, we're okay. I knew last year when Gary told me, we knew we were going to have to buy this. We anticipated it. And I just wanted Mr. Catania and Hector to tell me when they needed to have it delivered. And we're ready to go. You can call them tomorrow. That's why I want to make the motion to approve it and to order it now, because you're going to need it the rest of the year.
Let's get the engineer's opinion on this and put Chuck on the spot. Why not, Chuck? Charles?
Sure, that's fine.
Charles, do you see any real pitfalls to punting this, or to not punting it, like we're going to do, to financing? And then, if everything is hunky-dory next year, we just pay it off in full?
You're talking about the lease purchase option?
No, well, it would be,
correct.
It's not really a lease purchase.
That's the technical term.
It's financing, but you don't have to make a payment for 12 months.
To be honest with you, most of the equipment that I see purchased by towns is done that way. Maybe you have a luxury of having some capital in your fund. My question would be, like, at the treatment plant, we know that there's a project in the works and on hold right now to replace the primary screen for about $120,000. Is that budgeted? Is that fund? Are those funds there? So there's things.
Yeah, that's a separate fund. The plant is a separate fund. The system is a separate fund. So those monies are segregated. So we probably would get out a loan if we had to for the plant for that 120, unless we can fully fund it.
We haven't made a decision on the new screen. I thought we did make a decision on that.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
See, we're still talking about how we're going to fund it.
Wonderful.
But that's because we can pay that. That's a plant that we own. It's a more than $1 million plant. So we can
I get that.
I know, you know that, but over years we can pay that off because that goes from the customers. But this is just a piece of equipment which we're going to need. We need immediately, and the sooner we can get it, the better. I'd appreciate it because we need to get this work done.
Well, we know we're getting it because we don't have an option. I mean, you can go to Lowe's and get a pressure washer with higher PSI than our.
Exactly. I agree.
So the only question is whether we're going to buy it and roll the dice or finance and potentially pay it off in full next year if everything is well.
So I got a question then. What
Do you all,
else?
do you all want, do you all, I'm gonna leave it to council. Do you all want a decision tonight, or do you want another day of debate? Few phone calls. What do we want to do here?
Well, bear with me
I
one
don't think
second,
we can
Jerry.
go 2 weeks to the council meeting.
Let
Sorry.
Hector finish.
Janice, what else can
What?
that sewer money be used for then? The 80,000 that's allotted in there.
That's just what that's for. That was
Just that?
put in, that's the only thing for that line item. If you need extra money, I have a capital reserve for that system. That if we need money for any other line item that we're a little short, that's where you take it from. That's what we do. And we're probably gonna need 13,000 and we'll pay it off and we'll have it. I mean, we need that. It's a permanent piece of equipment. And
No, I'm not saying we don't need it. Well, we
no, I
definitely
know
need
you know that. You know that. But I'm just saying that's what we would normally do. We normally never get into this stuff.
All right,
Because we have to, we got the plant, we're gonna have to. for the
All right,
plant.
it's my belief that we need further debate on it. We just don't want to stretch it out into another week. So,
Yeah, we could order it if we vote on it tonight, and then at least we'll get it earlier than,
Well, you figure if, say we order it and we make the motion tonight and we just do the financing, we can pay off it as soon as we do further debate this year. It
Will
doesn't
they
have to
take-
be,
will
it
they
doesn't
take
have to
the
be
order?
later on.
I see
Will
no
they
harm
take
in
the order
Hector.
if you don't do the paperwork?
Say again?
Will they take your order without doing all the financing paperwork, which is putting more paperwork on Delilah?
Well, no,
So-
Hector said to do the financing, and we can debate whether to pay it off in full
This
down the
year.
road. I see no harm in that whatsoever.
You gotta fill out the paperwork before they're gonna take the order and process it,
Okay, there's 2 pieces of
That's what
paperwork to
they do.
fill out.
right?
I
You
don't
might
see the harm in 2 pieces of paper.
Be my guest. That's not my problem.
Let's make the motion. We'll proceed. We will
We need to
huddle during the week. I don't care if it's another Zoom meeting. I know y'all love your Zoom meetings,
No, we don't.
especially Janice.
But Not me. I don't.
Let's make the motion, get this done. We'll decide on how it will be paid for, when it will be paid for within a couple of days. Sound good, council?
Yes.
Can I make a comment from the peanut gallery?
Sure, go ahead, Mrs. McGovern.
Yes, thank you. It's gonna cost $500, I'm guessing, because of the bank fee. And
Sure.
then how much is the interest? Is it like $4,000 or so?
4.25%.
Okay,
It's,
so what,
I think it was around $3,900 for the full year.
Yeah.
okay, so you just have to think about that. You know,
It's really the bank
That's
fee you'd be,
another
it's really the
39.
bank fee you'd be worrying about. We're gonna make the
there's a-
motion, we're gonna make the motion to purchase, Mimi, and,
no, I get that, but I think what Janice is saying, the money's already there. That money, can that be used for anything other than this sewer?
No.
no.
So it can't be used. So there's already $80,000 allotted for this, so we can pay $80,000. The
Sure,
other
but we're worried about
13,000.
additional issues. That's where, I mean.
But my understanding is it can only be used for this unless I'm wrong there. That's what I just heard.
No,
Well,
you're correct.
Sewer related items, yeah.
No.
That could be repairs
it's
and
a
whatnot
line.
also, Mimi, not just equipment.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Good question.
Hold on. I have a question.
Mrs.
Janice,
Heller, go.
this 80,000 was just specifically for this project, correct?
Yeah, it's earmarked. It was
Just for
earmarked.
this
in the-
project.
Yeah, only for that.
So why
We
are
can't use it
waiting
for
to
anything
push it
else.
off?
No,
can't
no,
use
no,
it for
Mrs.
anything
No,
I
else.
guess
no,
you could. I guess
no,
you
Donna,
could,
you
but
can use it for
Councilman last
anything
year we
sewer
did it.
related. Anything sewer related, Donna.
No, it's sewer system.
No.
related. It's system.
Okay, well, now you're getting into.
Well, there's system and there's
You know what I
plant.
mean.
There's
Okay.
two different funds. There's two different.
So
you
yes,
can't
it
use
can
one-
be
you
used for
can't use
something
plant
else.
for that. No, it's
The
illegal.
the answer to Mrs. Fuchs' question and Mrs. Heller's question was yes, it may be used for something else. Okay, we'll say sewer system related. So why don't we make the motion? We desperately need this.
I know.
So let's make the motion. We will debate over the next couple of days on financing or lump sum. How about that? Are we all satisfied?
We'll waste more time.
Anyone else from council? Mr. Mayor,
I'm fine with it.
I'm making sure you're awake.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so give me a good motion there, Hector.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to make the motion to go forward with the purchase of the new sewer jetter. And within the next couple of days, we will decide
whether or not we pay in lump sum or take the financing option and do what we need to do.
Jay looks okay with that, or he's asleep. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, it, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. I'm at this point, I forget who was talking. Oh, Janice, you're still on the floor.
No, I don't, I just had some questions on Mr. Catania's report, but I'll bring it up when he talks. I'm done, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
Ms. Leslie?
Yes, good evening. I just have two things on my agenda. First off, the Leslie family would like to thank the Brookhaven Fire Department, my brother Charles Leslie and his son Charles Leslie, Jen and Larry Bakey, for their extreme professionalism during the emergency that we had Tuesday morning with our mother. Thank you for saving her life. My next thing on my agenda is we will be doing a Memorial Day parade. It will be on Monday, May 25th at 10 a.m. Participants will be limited to the fire department, the police department, the mayor, and council members. I would ask the residents to please come out of their homes when you hear the sirens on your street to pay respects to our fallen veterans and heroes. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Denise. And your mother is in all of our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic individual. And I'm glad she's doing well. Mr. Pappas?
Thank you, Mr. President. None of my committees met, so I do not have a report.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Heller?
I only have two items. The first item is that Mrs. Fuchs and I will be having our tech meeting on June, I think it is the 11th. So we'll be doing a Zoom invite for anybody that wants to participate in that. And lastly, we have the third quote for the backstop for Memorial Field. So we'll be moving forward. We had agreed on one of the fence companies and we'll be moving forward with getting that backstop done for Memorial Field. And
we've made a ton of cuts. That's one thing we cannot cut. They've waited a long time. We've punted it down the road on them multiple times. So.
And we did our due diligence with getting quotes.
We sure did.
Okay, that's the end of my report.
Did someone have a comment on that?
Yeah, I just want to know what she said she was buying. I couldn't hear it.
It was the back.
Just tell her again.
Oh, the backstop, right?
The backstop, yes, that we
That's
just.
fine. I couldn't hear when you said it. It might.
You should have snuck in lights while you were there, Mrs. Heller.
No, please don't do that.
That's a while away.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Ordinance Committee will meet via Zoom this Thursday at 6:30 to discuss our welcome packet, the animal control, and trash ordinances. Next month, we will be hopefully in person, but it'll probably be through Zoom, evaluating our current open burning ordinance. We need to definitely make some modifications based on the fact that many are using their fire pits, which is a good thing, but we need to evaluate what we have on the books for that. The CHIP vaccination clinic is now scheduled for May 18th, 2021. Recreational events. So I'm going to ask Mr. Dykes to give an update for the Concert in the Park series. Mr. Dykes?
As of right now, the May concert is canceled. We're holding off on June to figure out what's going on. With that, I'm assuming June's going to probably be canceled as well. So we'll shoot for July at this point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dykes. I did want to say that I guess it was last week when I was walking, I was pleasantly surprised to see some borough residents in the butterfly garden weeding it. And this took me back. And I want to personally thank Sandy and John DiBergetto, Lorraine Adams, Renee McClellan, and Alicia Dauber for taking time out of their schedules to go to the butterfly garden and weed it for the borough residents.
Maria Leslie, I swore she was there.
So thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Heller?
You forgot Maria Leslie. She was there, wasn't she?
Maria Leslie wasn't weeding.
Oh, she was just hanging out and supervising? Chuck taught her well, or did she teach Chuck well?
That's all my report. Thank
Sorry
you.
for giving you credit, Maria. Thanks, Mrs. Fuchs.
Thank you.
Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I met with, on May 13th with Charles Catania and Dave Evans of Public Works. We went over a few lingering projects that we were trying to get off the list and get accomplished and keep moving with the ongoing issues in the borough on the stormwater, sewer, and everything else we got going on. We met at 642 Kenny Lane. An inlet was collapsing. Dave and Sean and the Public Works team went in there. They got the backhoe. They raised lifted up the inlet, did some patchwork, got the bricks re-supported for the inlet, and that project is now, I could say, it's completed, it's done, and it looks good. We went over the Whiteley Road culvert issue and trying to get some permanent and temporary solutions depending on the cost of the project. Still working on some stuff with that. I believe Charles will probably mention something about that later on. And we also went over to Marion Drive. They're about a sinkhole issue. I don't have an official report from Public Works as of yet. Harold has nothing on the books other than what Jay had mentioned earlier during his report. And that'd be the end of my report.
Thank you, sir. Where are we at here? Mr. Leslie. Make sure you're unmuted. Let me unmute you. All right, go ahead, sir.
I'll have a report at the next council meeting. No report tonight.
All right. Chief Montello, do you have anything else?
We're good, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Let me unmute while I call on the second round of public discussion.
How about Mr. Catania?
Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was waiting.
I forgot about, it's the second time I forgot about you.
No, it's fine.
I should have put you at the front.
Hey, just dropped my microphone. So, as Mr. Vasquez said, we tried to knock some of these outstanding projects off the list. So the Public Works Department fixed a sinkhole at Victor and Trimble, and they repaired that inlet at Kenny Circle. And I think in the note I sent to you, it basically indicated it was a good savings to the borough. I think it saved us about $3,500 by them doing that work in-house. So we thank them for that, I'm sure. What I'll have for the meeting would be, going to ask council, and he's been sitting on the list for a while, the Whiteley Road project. I'm going to ask for council to authorize the design of that pipe replacement. 4112 North Gray Street. This was a settlement sinkhole. It's in developing on, this is actually on Melvin Drive. The storm sewer inlet, can ask for authorization to make that repair.
Where are you going?
Hang on, let me mute all again. Go ahead, Charles.
The 2020 street resurfacing project, I'm going to ask for council to authorize that bid. And if you notice the list, we split it into two phases. I recommend we go with phase one, probably like half of what was budgeted in that. That would come out of liquid fuel fund, and then the balance would actually come out of general funds. We can hold off on that till later in the year. We'd see where you stand budget-wise. Sanitary sewer root treatment. It's an ongoing maintenance program. You treat the certain lines every 3 years. We have a price from Duke's Root Control for $4,361 and some change to do that. And the one thing that was missing off my written report was, as Mr. Wills had spoken of, received a request for an escrow release from Pando Properties at 315 West Brookhaven Road that I'll have a recommendation for that release. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm going to try this again. Hold on a moment. Anyone from public discussion?
I wanted to ask Mr. Catania questions about his.
Go ahead, Jens. Go ahead. Sorry, everyone was muted.
No, I know. Chuck, I just want to make a general statement about the general fund. When you do stormwater repairs, that is where we don't have a lot of money. the general fund. So please, if it's an emergency or you need to do it, but I'm reading your report and there's tons of stormwater work. And if you did all of it, we're going to be totally out of that line item. And it's only May or June. I'm just saying, we've had to be really cautious. The other question I had was, when you're doing Edgemont Avenue from Eaton Park to Brookhaven Road, that is your tap-in money for 212,000, right? You're going to do that project this year? Because we have the money. I just want to make sure. I can tell Delilah. It's on your report. It's on the second page of your letter. It's Edgemont Avenue from Eaton Park. Can you hear me? To Brookhaven Road. It's the sanitary sewer. It's the project we would have done last year, but PennDOT stopped us because they were doing work on Edgemont Avenue. Now, I just want to confirm that so I can tell Delilah that we have that money and we're going to let her know that it's going to be used for you this year. That's fine. I just have to tell her so she'll know when those bills come in that that's where it's coming from. It's coming from a tap-in fee from Mr. Hill, because when he put the shopping center in, he had to give us tap-in money, which can only be used for Delcor sewers, because that sewer on Edgemont Avenue goes right down to Delcor. So we're legally allowed to use that. So we have to be careful that we put the money in the right places. And that's all I'm trying to confirm, to make sure I can tell her that when I talk to her tomorrow. Okay, that's all.
Use these between meetings too, folks. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Or a landline, whatever you want to do.
Oh, I didn't know.
Why don't we put, Charles, why don't you join next week's budget meeting? Obviously Zoom again. Next Wednesday, I think we're shooting for, right? Right, folks?
That's good. That's a good idea. That's
No blank stares, yes, no?
No, that's, if he can make it.
That's fine.
Okay, well, we'll work out a date. We'll have Charles sit in on the budget meeting.
All right.
And for some reason, my memory escapes me. I've had about 30 Zoom meetings in the last 2 weeks. You were not, we didn't invite you to the last meeting, correct, Charles?
No.
Okay, we should have. We will invite you to the next one. Thank you.
I just want to point out this list is not a new list. This project has been carried over. So what
correct?
The public works have been trying to do is to whittle this list down into a reasonable thing. So we're looking at a few projects at a time, and at that time we're prioritizing them to ones that need to get done and ones that we can defer. And obviously anything we can defer, we're doing so.
Yeah, you're not going around looking for work.
No,
that's not needed by any means. No.
I just had one other question. I'm sorry. Whiteley Road, is that the culvert or is that just a problem with the pipe?
The culvert, right?
The culvert.
Because that was going to be paid from Mariner East money and from drainage work this year. So
sorry, Janice. Janice, I was of the understanding that the Mariner East grant, I don't know why they called it grant. It was really a fine. I think it's $120,000. I thought that had to be used for rain gardens and rain gardens only.
But Whiteley culvert, the Whiteley culvert qualifies according to what I believe Eileen and Mr. Catania agreed to, because it's in our list. That's why we can use it for that. That's my understanding. And I'm just.
Hold on, Charles. Is that accurate? Because
that's what's on the list.
I'd have to see that list because I saw it as a couple of rain gardens being installed at various locations in town.
Eileen was adamant that it could only be used for rain gardens. Because the question was, where are you going to spend $120,000 on rain? Are you going to
make a rain garden on Whiteley Road?
Water issues? Are you going to so?
Because we don't really.
Can we confirm that? We'll confirm that this week if we can.
All right.
Charles.
And I can easily add a rain garden. On Whiteley Road, so it qualifies if that works.
As part of that broader project.
Part of that broader project. Yep.
That's fine.
Fantastic.
I just want to make sure well, that's fine. Thank you.
Maybe that was Eileen's thinking, but I was told that it was strictly for rain gardens. But all right, just wanted to clear that up.
That's
all set, Chuck, Charles.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone from public discussion? Public discussion. Going once.
I do.
Who's speaking?
This is Mimi McGovern.
Okay. You don't have to state your name again. We know who you are.
Okay. I just have a couple comments. One is, Hector, one of the last meetings I listened to the meeting, and I'm not sure if I understood you right, but you had said something about cleaning the sewers grates. And I don't know if that was specific to one location, or is that the responsibility of Public Works to clean sewer grates?
The Public Works Department goes throughout the entire borough. And we try to do this in sections to clean out all our grates. And you figure there's a lot throughout the borough. So we could try and schedule it out. Dave has a method of which he's been sending the guys out, and they go out, they make sure that the drains are clear of blockage. There's not excessive leaves or any little helicopters that fall down from the trees and everything. So yes, that's what Public Works does on top of everything else they do.
And so are you saying they just, I'm always talking about the one that I care the most, because I don't know what's inside the sewer, is on top of the sewer. That is the responsibility, like you said, any trash or leaves on top of the sewer as well as inside?
No, this is the inlet for stormwater, not
Okay.
sewer.
Okay, so what I am seeing, and it's just making me, I'm just can't stand to see it. It's the sewer grates on top. There's so much junk and trash on some of them in the borough that I'm wondering, is Public Works, will they clean those off?
They, like I said, they go around throughout the entire borough.
Okay, all right, so they do.
They do. They do.
Okay, so I have a couple of locations that have been there before the pandemic. It's been there forever, and they're a complete mess. So I have some locations that I would love for you to clean. Can I just send them to you, or I can tell you right now where they are?
You can give me the locations now if you like.
Okay, so it's the ones in front of Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Chili's, and it's like trash, and there's so much
So you
junk there.
want us to go on
Awful.
Edgemont Avenue? Is that what,
It's
is that what you're saying?
Well, so,
Those ones are on Edgemont Avenue, correct?
they're on Edgemont Avenue, yeah.
That's why.
That's why they're not being done.
It's a
I mean,
state road.
Okay, so then who should be doing them?
And,
Okay, so then
We're gonna do that.
can someone ask PennDOT to do it?
Get a hold of PennDOT for you, Mimi.
I'm sorry?
We can get a hold of PennDOT for you.
I mean, if you look at them, it's awful. I mean, it just looks awful. Honestly, I would do it on Edgemont Avenue. I would go and do it, to be honest with you. It's not,
We don't, please do
Big
not
deal.
go on to Edgemont Avenue.
No, please don't.
I won't, but I mean, I think we need to make sure that gets done. The other location is right at the corner of Brookhaven Road, and it's the Brookhaven dentist right there. And that one's been
Brookhaven Road and
Brookhaven and Edgemont?
and Edgemont, Brookhaven Road and Edgemont, the one right there in front of the dentist office right there.
We can take care of that.
I mean, that one's been like that.
That's a state road. That's a state road also.
And I have to say, it's been like that for at least a year. And it's the same plastic thing that's been there for that long. And I mean, I just can't believe we can't spend a little bit of time to do it. I'm only requesting.
Well, that's also a state road.
So does PennDOT would say we're not allowed to do it, or because it's a state road, we won't do it?
We can try and get them to send one worker and 6 supervisors out to take care of it for us. We will contact them.
Yeah, I know. It seems a little ridiculous, though. I know what you're saying. But I also believe it's our borough. We need to make it look a little bit nicer than if you go look at those. Just, it's a disgrace that we are living in that. So that's one comment. The other one is Carmen's. I'm just curious about it. I know that it's going to be sold eventually, but again, like Terry was saying, it could take quite a while before we sell it. It's still an eyesore. And so I believe that the ordinances or laws or something is you still can't, if there's a building that is vacant, which this is, they still need to maintain the outside of it as if it wasn't vacant.
Sure.
So I believe we need to do something there, and I'm guessing, I'm not sure who will do it, but most likely the owner would have to pay for it. But the parking lot in front is just, again, another eyesore. And you can tell my theme is I want our borough to look a little bit more nice than it does. There's littering all over the place. We need to start doing something. I'm not sure what, but I think we need to start doing something. Okay, my last one is I did bring up a couple of things that I'm complaining about. I want to bring up some things that are a good thing. I was in ShopRite's parking lot today, and there was some gentleman who was picking up the trash, and it was in the parking lot, and he worked there along the parking lot by Hilltop Drive. So right there, and there was a lot of trash in there. So I talked to him and I said, thank you, I'm so glad that you're doing this. And he said, these times it's really bad that there's a lot of people are just dropping their mask and their gloves and just throwing them all over the place in the parking lot. So I learned that he worked for whoever owns the property there. So I first thought he worked for ShopRite. So it's the property owner are the ones that are cleaning that up. And so I think that's a great thing. I'm always complaining that other businesses' parking lots are, just littered with trash. So I think it's a nice thing that we should, I don't know if we, at the meetings, and maybe they're not part of it, but the business meetings, that we really should highlight or acknowledge or something that here is a business that is trying to keep their parking lot clean. Because I know others just could care less.
No, it's definitely been mentioned to them before. So this is not a new issue. We've been trying to get them to clean up after themselves and take care of the lots, to improve the Borough, especially since Lowe's and the new shopping center was built, to try and get the rest of the Borough to follow suit. So this is not a new issue at all, even before I've been on council. So.
Okay. All right. And I'm kind of highlighting that it's not an issue, actually. I'm kind of highlighting that they're doing a good thing and that others should do as well. And maybe at the business meetings that we have, maybe we can highlight that or acknowledge that in front of other ones, and maybe other businesses would follow suit. And again, what else can we do to make sure that these businesses, not just Lowe's in there, they apparently are doing a good job or at least attempting to. What about the other ones?
Well, that's what I said. We're trying to get the rest of them to follow suit.
Okay. Okay. That's.
We can bring it up at the next business association meeting, because we were revamping it before the pandemic. So, we are still working with the business association and actually revitalizing them a little bit. Don and I met with them, as well as the mayor, so we can absolutely bring it back to the business association and put it out on their website and Facebook page as well.
Thank you, Sherry. That would be a great thing. And then also if we can involve any other residents to also help with this kind of thing.
All right, thank you, Mimi. Anyone else from public discussion? Anyone? Public discussion going once, going twice. All right, we're closed.
Terry, two comments. One,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Did you reach out to Bob Grant today, perchance, on the conversation you and I had?
I did not. I will tomorrow morning. I had a busy morning.
Okay, and number two, so we have an exec session coming up at 9 o'clock. You want to do that a little bit sooner?
We're going to do it right after this meeting. You have to log out of this and log into the additional invite I sent.
Sounds like a plan.
And that will be council, mayor, solicitor.
And I would also ask that Chief Curtin be invited to this meeting.
Chief Curtin. Okay. I will send Chief Curtin the invite as soon as we log out of this meeting. Anything else from council? You're going to let us off the hook, Janice?
Probably.
Probably. Good enough.
We have an executive session. I have comments for
Right
that.
after, I know. There you go. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Good job, all. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't have my gavel, so I'll
Say
clap.
good night, Gracie. Say good night, Gracie.
Good night, all. See you in 2 weeks.
Night.